A dear friend told me a story that powerfully illustrates today's hymn. Greg Vaughn, the producer of the Worship 101 series, was at a conference in New Orleans. It was late as he walked back to his hotel, and he found himself at a busy intersection near Bourbon Street. He recalls the streets were crowded as the drunks weaved in and out of the bars and nightclubs. It was then that I heard the singing of a song I knew well, the Old Rugged Cross. After a moment of confusion, I spotted a young man standing in the middle of the street holding an 8-foot electronic cross. I watched as the drunks sang, the mockers mocked, and the young man stared straight ahead and sang as he held up the cross for all to see. Let's discover the story behind that treasured song. George Bennard was born in Youngstown, Ohio, shortly after the end of the Civil War. His father, a coal miner, moved the family to Iowa, where George came to Christ through the ministry of the Salvation Army. He felt impressed to train for the ministry, but at age 16, his plans were disrupted by his father's death. It left George responsible for his mother and sisters. So instead of theological school, he worked by day and could devote only a few spare moments to his books. When George's obligations eventually lessened, he moved to Chicago and began working with the Salvation Army. Later, he was ordained by the Methodist Episcopal Church and became a traveling evangelist. On one occasion, after a difficult season of ministry, George realized he needed to better understand the power of the cross of Christ. He later said, "I was praying for a fuller understanding of the cross. As I studied and prayed, the Christ of the cross became more than a symbol. I could see the words of John 3:16, leave the page, take form, and act out the meaning of redemption." While watching this scene in my mind's eye, the theme of the song came to me. It took several months for the words to formulate. As George preached through the Midwest, he would carry the words with him, working on them, polishing them, and sometimes singing them in his meetings. At last, his hymn finished, George visited some trusted friends so they could hear it. As the last note echoed, he paused, looked up at them, and asked, "Will it do?" The Reverend and Mrs. L.O. Boswick were so moved that they helped pay the printing fees, and the Old Rugged Cross was soon in hymn books across America.